We've talked almost endlessly about the energy crisis in this country, and make no mistake, it's a crisis. It will be a crisis. That's understood. That will be understood when blackouts mean, as we said last week, what about no traffic lights? Or you can't charge your mobile phone, or you can't use your laptop. Forget about Netflix. This, because of government policy, is where we're heading on energy. Indeed, as we've said many times, there's scarcely a problem confronting us that isn't a consequence of government policy. Which brings us again to water, another crisis. 96% of New South Wales in drought or drought affected, 65% of Queensland. Drought means no water. I wonder if we shut off the water to Parliament House in Canberra, or to the Parliament in George Street in Brisbane, or the Parliament in Macquarie Street in Sydney, would politicians do anything then? Instead, farmers are left to swing in the breeze. And the only thing government can talk about is the Murray-Darling Basin. Let's keep it simple. This is all a consequence of the 2007 Federal Water Act. Will someone please rip, as my old man would say, rip the bloody thing up? From it, we got the Murray-Darling Basin Authority, manned by over 400 inexperienced and water-unaware people. It proudly boasts its principal concern is to return water to the environment and at the same time deny farmers. Since when were farmers not part of the environment? They're most probably more environmentally aware than anyone. They're generational. They want to leave their farm in productive and pristine condition to hand on to the next generation. But here are these novices running the Murray-Darling Basin Authority, possessed of this mindless notion that we must take water from the farmer for environmental flows. They've never defined what the environment is, but here we are in drought and we've got a water market. People with not a tablecloth of land, owning billions of litres of water and proudly stating they're out to make money from selling it. Who's the chief offender? Yeah, the government. Can you believe that in the middle of the drought, the federal government, via this thing called the Commonwealth Environmental Water Holder, actually owns 2,000 gigalitres of water, 4 Sydney harbours. And farmers and agriculture are betrayed because of the Federal Water Act. Does it matter that communities are being destroyed? Iconic Australian towns are shutting down. Businesses ruined because if the farmer's got no water, then goodbye to the butcher, the mechanic, the primary school, no one left to educate. Pardon me, the hospital, everyone's impacted. I spoke recently to a fellow called Ron Pike. He's been in the middle of this mess for I don't know how long. And he said this to me, and I'm quoting exactly. Alan, can I just say something? The people of regional communities across the basin are at the point of absolute despair. They have no future. Suicide's become a major problem across the basin. And I'd just like to say to your listeners in the city that are out of the basin, if there ever is a time you need to stand up and speak up on behalf of those people, it's now. They cannot continue under this plan and survive. By the end of the year, regional towns, this is Ron Pike, the home of over 2 million people, will be dying. What's more important, we're losing expertise that's been established over several generations. We've already lost a number of industries. He said the washed potato industry of the Riverina has gone. It's died, and all of those people have left. The corn industry is gone. The rice industry, he said, has just about gone. The dairy industry is dying because they cannot buy water to feed their cows. He said, I'll give you one example. This is Ron Pike. In the Deniliquin area, and Deniliquin's, he said, a wonderful little country town, where there are 11 operational dairies. Now, they weren't little dairies. They were big dairies, very efficient. Only 3 years ago, 11 of them. The last one, he said, closed down 2 months ago. That whole industry is dying. It's going. Now, unless we do something very, very dramatic, he said, and kill this plan, that's the Murray-Darling Basin plan, and replace it with the plan that works for all those communities, by the end of the year, will be in severe recession. They'll be going backwards and people will just leave and go to the cities and somewhere else. They can't survive, he said, under this regime. Well, of course they can't survive. But farmers have written to the local federal member down there for Murray-Darling Way, Susan Lee. She's bright, but she must be deaf. Amongst other things, they've said to her, if you're fighting for water, then you and your federal colleagues have your foot on the throats of farmers who are screaming, fix the Murray-Darling Basin. Farmers told me only today they wanted to sit down with the Federal Water Minister, David Littleproud, and discuss the pain being caused by the Murray-Darling Basin plan. He won't talk to them. He talks to the bureaucrats. Wouldn't a touch of modesty inform him that these people have forgotten more about water and the Murray-Darling than he will ever know. They're insulted that as farmers, they're being lectured about environment policy. These are dinky-die farmers, better environmentalists than bureaucrats, many of whom have most probably never been on a farm and never got any manure between their toes. Well, why am I telling you this? It's as plain as the nose on your face, they've had a gutful. I hope Australia's had a gutful. Tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock, there'll be a protest meeting on the banks of the Murray River. I put a picture up here for you. Deniliquin Road, Tokum Wall. And you can see it there. At 11 o'clock tomorrow, protesters will gather to hear speeches and they'll march across the Murray River. You can see that bridge crossing the Murray River to the regional park. That's that big green area on the other side. I wish I could be there. I can't. I'll bet you the so-called decision makers in Canberra won't be there. Tokum Wall's on the border, so they'll be marching from New South Wales to Victoria. The March Across the Murray, they're calling it, which prompts a simple question. Forget about the farmers for a moment. How much longer are we going to put up with this crap? Is it going to be like the energy crisis? We'll wake up to an energy crisis when the cities of Melbourne and Sydney are in pitch dark at night and no traffic lights. As one farmer said to me today, perhaps we'll wake up when we sit down every morning to eat our imported suspect cereal, soaking in our imported suspect milk. Or is the real agenda to let them all go broke? The Chinese are smarter than us. Let them in. They'll buy the land, they'll buy the water, and they'll put our food on their plates. And if that's not the scenario, can someone tell me what the scenario really is? Because you're not going to find an answer by listening to bureaucrats. Make no mistake, this country is heading for big, big trouble. And the architects of that trouble are government and appalling policy based on ignorance and a failure to listen to those who know.